Welcome in to the KAIX local evening news here in Berkeley, California. After our news highlights and the weather, we have a special investigative report about a disaster that is ongoing in our local community. So stay tuned. Last night, there was another report of a strong-armed robbery here in Berkeley. I don't know really what happened because I don't really read those emails, but something not so great happened there again overnight. UC Berkeley recently hosted their homecoming football game with a packed crowd. Seems safe? I don't know how we did though, but you can always just Google that if you care, which I imagine is only a few of us anyway. Local restaurants and bars seem to be doing well with all of their outdoor seating and vaccination requirements, a good sign that the economy is starting to turn around, meaning that students at UC Berkeley and UCSF will finally be able to afford a house in approximately 4 decades. And on to some brighter news, we had another alumnus from the bioengineering department win a Nobel Prize recently. Not surprising, but you love to see it. Dorian won the betting pool with his pick, and he can pick up the winnings as long as he brings Bodhi. The pool for the next winner from our program opens up now. You can drop off your picks down here at the news station. Now, let's go over to Ava for some weather.
Well, it's finally the fall season, which means we're finally in for some warm, sunny weather here in the Bay. And a massive influx of basic girls flocking to Trader Joe's and Starbucks for everything pumpkin spice. But I hear that the most basic of them all is our own Anchor. I saw him going to pick up all of the pumpkin spice cookies, pumpkin spice popcorn, pumpkin spice oatmeal, pumpkin spice coffee, and pumpkin spice beer for his home brew. Don't think we don't see you.
Thanks, Ava, for the weather and calling me out for my love of pumpkin spice. Now, today, we have a special investigative report, years in the making, about an ongoing disaster that's happening right here in Berkeley. That disaster is graduate school. We've heard from numerous blue checkmark verified people about the horrors of graduate school, and we want to specifically highlight the disaster that is the 2018 cohort. We have heard that graduate school is filled with long hours, reading papers that you only understand like max 5% of, seemingly always have to refill the buffers yourself, even though your lab mates say they do it all the time too. Teaching undergrads who just don't seem to get it, trying to hit the expectations of your professors, all while dealing with crippling stress and anxiety and making well below the minimum wage once you adjust to a per hour rate. And while all graduates go through this disaster and ultimately end up with a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome to some degree, the bioengineering cohort of 2018 brought with them a string of disasters that has plagued the area every year. To discuss the first of the disasters they brought with them back in the fall of 2018, we'll go to Amanda, one of our star investigative reporters.
During their very first semester in graduate school, the cohort brought with them dense smoke from wildfires in the area, blanketing the Bay Area with air so poor that classes were canceled and people were chased out of their labs to go home. A first-hand account came from our anchor, Jordan, who was escorted out of his lab by the UCB police, charged with getting all of the graduate students out of the lab, since many of them are willing to risk long-term health consequences to run just one more experiment. No one could do anything outside, and people were wearing masks to avoid breathing in air that was 200 on the air quality index. This was all during their first semester, too. The fall of 2019, with horrible memories of the year before, was also full of smoky days and rolling blackouts, so that PG&E didn't burn down the entire state. Power to labs were being cut, forcing people to end experiments and prioritize where power would go in the buildings. The blackouts and smoke were topped at the annual BioE retreat, usually a place of great science, networking, and laughs. This cohort brought with them a power blackout to the venue during the keynote speaker. Luckily, Sophie Dumont is an all-star, and she was able to get a battery-powered projector and finish her talk. To hear a first-hand account, we have a witness to the evening, Maria.
It was wild.
Do elaborate.
To be in the middle of the talk and have all the power go out. I was really worried because my phone was on 8% battery, and if I couldn't charge it, I would actually have to go and talk to people.
Unheard.
I know. It would have been horrible. But it was fine. In the end, people just wandered around in the dark and then just went to bed.
Thanks for your brave recounting of the evening, Maria. The 2018 cohort really was trying their best to bring all the disasters with them to the Bay Area.
And that brings us to their next semester in graduate school, the spring of 2020. I don't know that the pandemic needs much more recounting, but there is a reason why none of us have social skills anymore and why I only have 4 friends left. But we can hear from our reporter and another witness.
Thanks for bringing this up again, Jordan. We are all very tired of it. But yes, the COVID-19 pandemic shut everything down and switched everything over to online formats, except for research, where all the graduate students still had to go to lab and do work because, of course they do. We have another witness here to discuss their experience with the pandemic. Welcome, Kwasi.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, this pandemic has been really rough, really sucked, where every day seems like the same, but at the same time not. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I totally feel that.
You get that sentiment? You know, but the worst part of it all is right before the pandemic, my IM team was on a run to win the shirt champions. And I was so confident in this team. We were scoring goals. Yeah, but then the pandemic hit. And
So you were robbed of the win.
oh, you have no idea. But yeah, I just couldn't believe it. But I don't know what to say anymore.
I mean, being speechless is an adequate response to the pandemic. So thank you very much for sharing your experience with us, Kwasi. But the disasters don't end there, because mid-pandemic disaster in the fall of 2020, we had the infamous orange-red sky, where smoke from yet another fire combined with Carl, the ever-present fog, to create a unique meteorological event in which we basically lived on Mars for a day. Never have I seen a weirder day than when I woke up to a dark orange sky, and it stayed that way for the whole day. And since we are still dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, the disasters are still ongoing with this cohort. Back to you, Jordan.
Wow. Thank you, Amanda, for all of your hard work in tracking these disasters. Seems that since the 2018 cohort started, there's only one semester in which there wasn't a disaster going on. It's a miracle that any of them are actually getting research done. And knowing what we do now, we probably shouldn't have let any of them start the disaster that is grad school. Thank you, everyone, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. Good night.
All right, hi y'all. Glad to see you again. As usual, we'll start off with a little lab business. Just wanted to say that we had to get rid of little Mike. Having a fish in the lab is just way too freaking distracting, especially for Greg. And again, I just really want to emphasize that we need to keep our cameras on and unmute ourselves this whole time. Like, you just need to be present and be in this place. And that's how we're going to win the Nobel Prize, everyone. That's how we're going to win it. So if I see anyone with it off, we're going to have a problem. And you know the consequences.
Hit him with that shaka.
Yeah, anyways, today we have a great talk today. So looking forward to that. But does anyone have any other things to say? Any other lab business? Gail, anything?
La.
JT?
People in the lab, like making out on tests.
I don't think I can hear you. So anyways, yeah, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bennifer Bowdena from Harvard. And I hope you enjoy their talk.
We left off last time looking at how we can use bioinformatics tools to direct protein engineering, using the example of trying to develop a thermostable cellulase enzyme.
Oh, totally, my dude.
The FIRE program is a particularly powerful tool for protein structure prediction by comparative modeling. So we entered the sequence information for our 1,4 beta-cellobiohydrolase from Thermoascus aurantiacus. We entered the sequence in FASTA format, and the structural result is returned in a couple of hours. That result gives a high confidence prediction of the T. aurantiacus cellobiohydrolase structure. And from this model, we saw that it was possible to identify positions where the strands are close enough together so that disulfide bridges can be introduced to stabilize the protein structure.
I told you a
But we
million
also
times
Ma,
today
get out of
that
my
you
room.
know, Laura,
Ma.
you've been ignoring me for too long. Jeffrey is waiting.
Jeffrey can wait a little bit longer. Can't you see I'm on the Zoom call?
And that's
Laura
where,
Smith Jeffrey. That's it.
and that's where
Gail, is that your mom? Did she get home safe last night? I tell her I really enjoyed those martinis.
That's where we can apply the 3D ligand site tool.
Goodness.
The T. aurantiacus cellobiohydrolase is a homologue
I got discounted vaccine card fakes. You in? Oh, I know you're in, Mike. Oh, absolutely. Oh, discount? Absolutely. Discount? No way. 50 euros.
Can learn
No,
more.
can't take anything else but euros. Sorry. I know we're in Australia.
Thank you.
All right, mate. JT. Yeah, let's take that offline.
We saw last time that a crystal structure is available
oil
of
execs
the
are up
T.
to. We better
reesii
hurry up.
cellulase
I'm
bound
freezing.
to
Don't tell
cellulose.
Joe Biden.
And so we know where the cellulose is
calls for
bound. We know
desperate
what
measures.
areas in the T.
All right, guys.
reesii we must
Can we
not
please
modify.
just be normal for a second?
We can now use
my
the
God.
3D ligand site program
Oh my
Imperial
God,
College
I'm
of
sorry.
London
I'm so
in order to predict T.
It's not usually
aurantiacus
happen.
cellulose
I think they're
binding site
lashing out about
based on
fish
an
moving
alignment
out of the lab.
of the T.
I'm so
reesii
sorry.
and other known similar structures with the T. aurantiacus structure. Thank you.
Totally. Benefit, please tell us about how these antibodies can be used to fight gerbils.
Now on to another topic. A brief introduction to antibody. The germline immunoglobulin heavy chain gene contains 51 alternative variable gene segments, 27 alternative diversity segments, and 6 alternative joining segments. These can be recombined to give about 8,000 possible heavy chain antibody. There's further hypermutation of the complementarity determining region. The single point mutation rate increases about 1 million-fold. And higher binders are signaled to grow more rapidly. This creates a family of mature cells expressing related antibodies.